What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, just another PokeTuber, coming at you today with our draft analysis for the MDL, the Mellow Draft League. But I'm pretty sure you guys could have guessed that based on, well, DL is obviously Draft League, and then the M, well, there's a whole Mellow beside me, so I'm pretty sure you guys can tell. But that's the actual name for, in case you were just wondering. But this is our first video on the new channel. For those of you who aren't aware of how we got to where we have a new channel, basically the email that was associated with my old YouTube account got deleted, therefore I can't log in no more. In a nutshell, it stinks, especially considering we made a lot of progress on that channel. However, minor setback for a major comeback. Thank you everybody for the support so far. I really appreciate it. So yeah, just got to rebuild and then just come back stronger than ever. And this is step one because it's our first video. So to tell you guys a little bit about the MDL, pretty much like other drafts, you got points to get Pokemon. So in this case, we had 105 points to draft 9 to 11 Pokemon. We had 18 points altogether to get 1 to 3 Terra Captains. And this draft functions in the way that the Terra price and the Pokemon's price are different. So, for example, one of our Terra Captains, he's normally 9 points, but to Terra him, he was 11 points. Spoiler alert. This league has 8 weeks of regular season before playoffs. So basically what that means is if we want to guarantee a playoff spot, 5 wins is the magic number. You get to 5 wins. It's kind of hard. The only way you don't make it into playoffs if you get 5 wins is if literally the top 9 seeds have 5-3 records. I know this from experience. It's very unlikely for that to happen, albeit it happened once for me, but not that it affected me, but I'm just saying I've seen it happen once, so it is possible. However, when I did the math on that, when I say the odds of that happening is so astronomically low, it makes no freaking sense that it actually happened in real life. It's kind of crazy. But, yeah. But outside of that one exception of the top 9 all having 5-3 records, obviously the 9th coach would not make it into playoffs. Under normal circumstances, where you have a good mix of records, 5 wins should get you into playoffs. This league is not upload required. However, if you are uploading, they do have a upload schedule. So even though we're uploading this on a Friday, I'm doing this on a Friday because I lost all my Google stuff, so I didn't have my analysis to do to actually do for my original video I wanted to do. So we had to basically start it over from scratch. So going forward, just know all my MDL games will come out on Thursday because that's what the rules are. Next, I'm going to let you guys know where I ended up in regards to the draft order, and I'm actually happy with where I ended up. I ended up at number 13. I would have preferred to just be number 16. Honestly, every draft I'm in, I would just prefer to be number 16, like 15 or 16. But bottom 4, we tend to draft our better teams from this. A lot of familiar faces. For people who have watched my previous battles, we've played Zachmander before. We played Pokemaster 88 plenty of times on the channel, old channel. We've played Liz before. We've played we haven't played any of these other coaches, but I've been in drafts with some of these other coaches. Like for example, Twisted Games. I've been in a draft with him, SPDA. I can't shake the feeling that I've been in. Okay, I don't want to say no names and then I'm just completely wrong. But there's a few other names I feel like I might have done UPA with them, but I'm not sure. But anyway, we are at number 13, and I feel like we started the draft off with a bang because first and foremost, because I forgot to mention this, so this draft is low tier, quote unquote, and by low tier, basically all the strong offensive OU and UU Pokemon are kind of just not there. Like there's still some in there, but like the stronger ones are like Greninja, Meowscarada, Cinderace, Dragapult, Iron Valiant, Roaring Moons, like these guys aren't here. So thankfully because of that, like the speed tiers are like if you have like a base 110 Pokemon in this format, there's a very good chance it'll outspeed your opponent's entire team, and then maybe speed tie their 110. Like that's how just to put in perspective how much stuff got cut for this. So I feel like we picked a really good first round Pokemon. The last time I had this Pokemon was when I inherited a team from someone and proceeded to get 14 kills with it. So hopefully this time around we can maybe improve upon that mark. My first round pick was none other than Ogerpon with a heart full of flames. There is no Cinderace, so you know my fire type has to be something that can fill Cinderace's boots. So we decided to go with Ogerpon, Hearth Flame. Pretty powerful wall breaker because one, it has 120 attack with 110 speed, so yeah, it's breaking walls, and on top of that, it has Mold Breaker. So no Pokemon can use its abilities to like slow us down. So Unaware, we ignore it. Multi-scales, we ignore it. Sap Sipper, if for some reason you have to contend with that, we ignore it. Like, you guys get the idea. Flash Fire, we ignore it. Like, we ignore all that stuff. Strong setup potential with Swords Dance and Trailblaze. Also gets pretty good utility options with like knockoff, Leech Seed, Spikes, even get Spiky Shield to get like cheeky like chip on stuff. Because this thing does have pretty respectable bulk, so it can, you know, do the whole Leech Seed, Spiky Shield shenanigans. And in general, Grass and Fire as its dual stabs, it's just pretty hard to like switch into. The only thing that switches into that, it would be Dragons, but this thing gets play rough. So yeah, this thing pretty much has perfect coverage. Like, that's the best way I can put it. I feel like we picked a pretty good Mon. It's pretty versatile in my opinion. So yeah, we have Ogerpon with a heart full of flames. Next on the team sheet. So remember how I was talking to you guys about that 11-point Terra Captain with my little example? So that wasn't just an example. That was like facts. That was real life. So I picked this Pokemon because I saw a friend of mine named Pokemaster88 use this Pokemon recently in SPDA, and he did pretty good with it. And he also made it look really fun. So I was like, you know what? Let's try this guy. We picked up Terra Captain Palmont. Another reason I picked Terra Captain Palmont, I've been wanting to use Terra Palmont for a while. It's just in most leagues. Well, let me rephrase that. Whenever I want to use Palmont, I want to use it as a Terra Captain, but it's usually banned. I was kind of surprised to not see it banned here, but we're not complaining because we get a chance to use it. My good friend Scorpion just doesn't want to, you know, make it a Terra Captain in BHDL for your boy Brandon. I'm telling you guys, I've been advocating for it. It just hasn't worked out. However, we got a chance to use it in MDL, and that's all that matters, at least to me, for the time being. Palmont is a pretty strong wall breaker as well. 115 attack, 105 speed, so pretty fast with the given format. Also gets priority with Mach Punch, so even when we are slower than something, we can just, you know, set up potential with Bulk Up. So it's not Swords Dance, and I mean, he's not like the bulkiest thing either. Like, he has pretty pitiful like bulk, if I'm being honest, but you know, at least he has the option to bulk up, boost his physical defense, and then also boost his damage output. Because after one bulk up, I just know from experience, after one bulk up, this thing can, more times than not, it can just clean a game up by itself. Pretty cool abilities with Natural Cure, Volt Absorb, Iron Fist. So, you know, we can get damage boost on Iron Fist. We'll probably never really run Natural Cure, but it is an option. And then we have Volt Absorb, so we're immune to electric moves. And we also get an HP, like get HP back from it, so that's pretty cool. Pretty strong Pokemon between, because like it gets double shock and close combat, so between Terra Electric or Terra Fighting, like, bro, this thing is just crazy. Can also pivot out with Volt Switch, and yeah, Palmont is honestly amazing, and I'm expecting to really have fun with it. Next on the team roster is my next Terra Captain. So the first 3 rounds, I told myself I'm gonna get the Pokemon I really want, and then from there I'm gonna just wing it based on what I need. Because I tend to make teams better when I do it that way. So we got Ogerpon round 1, Terra Palmont round 2. So round 3 is another Pokemon that I've been trying to draft for a while, but every time I try to draft it, it gets sniped. But something I noticed about my plans when I try to get it, it always gets sniped in the 4th round. So I was like, okay, since it always gets sniped in the 4th round, maybe we should get in the 3rd round. So my 3rd round pick was none other than a Terra, somehow 7 points, Vaporeon. Why this thing's a 7-point Terra Captain, I do not know, but I am definitely not complaining. I really appreciate the fellas for allowing this. This thing's is basically the OG bulky water type wall, 130 HP, 95 SpDef, so at least on the SpDef side, you're not one-shotting this thing. And honestly, even though it has 60 defense, you're still not really one-shotting it on the defense side. Well, 60 or 65, but I'm pretty sure it's 60. But anyway, this Pokemon gets access to Scald, so if we can just, you know, you know, work our magic, we don't have to worry about physical attackers anyway. This thing can stay healthy because one, this thing is so bulky that if you give it leftovers, it's going to recover its HP over time, trust me. Two, Vaporeon also has access to Wish, so whenever this thing wishes, that's like 230 HP points that is either going to come back to it or get past somebody else. So we pass that to some, like another team member, more than likely they're going back to full health. If Vaporeon gets its wish back, more than likely you're going to get very annoyed with me. It gets pivoting in the forms of Baton Pass and Flip Turn. We'll probably use Flip Turn most of the time, but maybe we could Baton Pass in case we're fighting like a Water Absorb Pokemon. And last but not least, on top of being able to Scald, this thing can also just straight up yawn you. And we can just like use, we can use like yawn, flip turn shenanigans as a way to like get other Pokemon in and stuff like that. Yeah, that's Vaporeon. Don't really want to give out way too much of the sauce, but I hope to have fun with this thing. It is also pretty. Before I forget to mention, this thing can also be a setup sweeper with Calm Mind, Sword Power, Scald, stuff like that. Next on the team roster, so like I said, I started winging it after I picked Vaporeon, so I knew at this point I needed a hazard remover, and I knew I needed a hazard remover, and Palmont and Ogerpon are cool. Vaporeon's especially bulky, so okay, I'm sitting here like I need a physically bulky Mon. If it can remove hazards, that'd also be nice. And if it could synergize defensively with my other Pokemon, that would be nice, because I feel like I already got my offense like kind of up and starting. So I start thinking about my defense a little bit more. So next on the team roster, I picked up a Pokemon that I've drafted twice in the past. So I just know that this thing is pretty much all reliable. It's none other than Corviknight, because like I told you guys, it's mainly the offensive OU mons that aren't in this format, but like the defensive ones, well, they still made it. So Corviknight, like I said, it's a hazard remover, defog. It can stay healthy because of Roost. So it's a physical wall. Not what the heck was it? I'm trying to remember. It's like 105 defense with like 98 HP, I think. So you're not killing this thing on the physical side in one hit. Matter of fact, I know this because I know from experience this thing can live a Powerball from Cinderace even with a boosting item, which I find very obnoxious. Corviknight is a physical wall, can remove hazards, can keep itself healthy. It also has setup variants, but that's whether or not we run that remains to be seen. And if we're ever in a matchup to where like I don't feel like my opponent can just reliably get hazards up because I have a really good offensive matchup, we could also just drop the defog. It just depends on the matchup. But yeah, Corviknight isn't going to be a one-trick pony like it usually is. But the main thought was I need a physical wall. So on top of having a physical wall, and also it synergizes with Vaporeon because in a sense because Vaporeon's weak to grass. Corviknight 4 times resists grass. Corviknight's weak to fire. Vaporeon can switch into those fire moves. They're both weak to electric. However, we can fix that with a ground type. So for the next member of our roster, we decided to pick up none other than Clodsire. So I'll be real, the thought process for this did come because I thought back to my friend Anna, who had, so she won BHDL Season 3, and I remember that she had the defensive core of Clodsire and Corviknight. And I just remember it was kind of tough. It was tough to break those two because they just perfectly switch into everything the other one is weak to. So because of Clodsire, we have a ground immunity. We already had it with Palmont, but like I said, Palmont's kind of frail, so we can't switch into everything. Corviknight was my physical wall. Clodsire can be my special wall. This thing gets access to every freaking hazard. Oh, and before I forget to mention, it can be my special wall because homie has 130 HP with 100 Spit F. So yeah, you're not killing this thing on the special side, and you're not setting up and killing it either because it gets Unaware as an ability, which is pretty neat. It has Water Absorb as well, but we have Vaporeon, so more times than not we'll probably just run Unaware. But Water Absorb is an option. We don't talk about Poison Point because we're not we're not trying to sweep with Claude Sire, like hitting stuff. Like if we're going to sweep with Claude Sire, it's going to be like toxic recover shenanigans because he gets all that. This thing is so fat that it can just stay alive for a long time. Um, Mainly got it as a special wall, but also got it because I haven't had it since season 2 of BHDL, and I remember having it and liking it. So yeah, Claude Sire made the team. Next on the team roster, continue out our pattern of collecting fat Pokemon because so far it's Vaporeon, Corviknight, Clodsire. To continue the tradition, like the little fat tradition we've started so far, I decided to pick up, and I'm going to explain why at the end why I'm doing this. I decided to pick up none other than Goodra. Goodra is another Pokemon I never had a chance to use. It's a pseudo legendary, so of course it has some pretty like outlandish stats. Um, 90 HP with 150 Split F, so you're not one-shotting this thing on the special side. It's just not happening. Um, the defense ain't the best, but if you invest into it with its overall bulk, it can definitely take some hits. Unlike Goodra Hisui, this thing is actually, it's kind of fast, but not. It's not fast, but it's not slow either. It's 80, so depending on the matchup, that can be decent. Unlike Goodra Hisui 65 or 60, it might just be 60. I thought about getting Goodra Hisui, but I decided against it when I realized I would have like 3 Pokemon that are weak to ground, and I didn't like that, even if one of them is a Terra Captain. So we decided to go with the regular Goodra. Pretty versatile mon. It can be physical or special, 100 attack, 110 special attack, so it can be physical or special. Pretty good utility with knockoff. It can also toxic stuff. Set up its defenses with like acid armor. I think is what it's called. Pretty versatile move pool too. Obviously, it gets dragon coverage, but it also gets ice coverage, water coverage, fire coverage, electric coverage, ground coverage. So yeah, this thing just gets ways to hit everything for days. So one thing I like about Goodra, it's a wall, but it's not passive by any means of the imagination. And hopefully, we have fun with Goodra, and we can do Goodra proud in the name of our good homie, the good kind sir, Captain Beanard, fellow commissioner of BHDL. Next on the team roster, continuing this tradition of fat Pokemon, and I promise guys, I did not mean to draft 2 base 80 speed Pokemon back to back. It kind of just happened that way. Next on the team roster, we picked up for the first time ever Hoopa Unbound. So, so far half the team is like new Pokemon, half the team is like some old ones. I consider Ogerpon new because I didn't draft it myself. Someone else drafted it and I picked it up. I picked the team up. So far, the only Pokemon we've drafted that we've used, like actually picked and used so far, are Clodsire and Corviknight. But the other 5 Pokemon, these are brand new. Hoopa, what can I say? 130 Split F. You're not killing this thing on the special side unless it's like a Bug Buzz or something. Can be a mixed attacker, 160 attack with 170 special attack, so it can be mixed. It can lean on the one side. Because something I found out, even if you run like a negative nature on one of its attack stats, the stat will still be higher than most other Pokemon stats if you run the investment, which I find very insane. But hey, it works to our advantage. I knew I wanted a dark type. Dark is like very like spammable, and then I saw this thing was still here, and I'm sitting here like, well, I don't mind if I do. I don't really know a lot about Hoopa, so I can't talk too much about Hoopa. Only thing I know about Hoopa is this thing hits hard. So hopefully he hits hard for the Piedmont Triad Kickers this season. Next on the team roster, we needed a fairy type. Like we've been playing, we've been procrastinating. We needed a fairy type. I really wanted Rabombi. It didn't work out that way. So unfortunately, well, kind of not. We had to fall back on something that we've used in the past that I didn't want to use this time because I've literally used this mod in every league I've been in up to this date, and now, well, the trend continues. Because next, for our fairy type, we decided to pick up Whimsicott. So Whimsicott does work with the team because we get light screen but not reflect, albeit Corviknight does get dual screens. But Whimsicott, can set a light screen. Gets Tailwind, which could help Ogerpon or Palmont. We also get Trick Room, which could potentially help out Hoopa. We can also pivot out with U-turn, so we can set Trick Room, pivot. Or if we're feeling daring, we can just run Prankster Trick Room with Memento, or something like that. So we can to help other help Hoopa get in safer, or in general we can run Memento to help like one of our setup sweepers set up easier, or at least get one free turn of setup if nothing else. We also get Encore and stuff like that, so we can do some shenanigans. Pretty strong Pokemon offensively. Some people would disagree with that statement, but I know from experience this thing can hit hard. It's a pretty annoying Pokemon because of Prankster primarily, because Switcheroo and there's a lot of stuff this thing can do. So even though it's not what I really wanted, I wanted Rabombe, I wanted a Fairy type with webs, but we're gonna make the best of our Whimsicott because we love Whimsicott around here. If it isn't obvious, we still want webs, so the next pick is Spidops. He's here to set webs. He gets all the hazards, except for Stealth Rock. He can phase things out with Circle Throw, and he can also pivot with U-Turn. That is Spidops. So, next on the team roster, obviously, we don't want to have Corviknight be our only hazard remover, because if it is, it's going to remove our hazards too. So for games where we do want to set hazards and actually use them, we're obviously going to need a Rapid Spinner. So I decided to go with my Comfort Mon in regards to Rapid Spinners. It's the one, the only Komala. 115 attack. It's a normal type. Pretty well, I guess it's a pretty good special wall when it wants to be. This Pokemon can also boost its defenses with Bulk Up, which also boosts its massive 115 attack, like I just mentioned. So, this thing can set up a little bit, kind of Bulk Up, Rapid Spin, but you can also just use it regularly, Rapid Spin, U-Turn to pivot, knock off, so you can get items gone, and then whatever last move you want to have. It is a normal type, so it has a lot of coverage, believe it or not. You can, the fourth slot can be anything most of the time. And then also another reason I really like this Pokemon, it's a status sponge. You cannot status it because of its ability, Comatose. So Komala's here as a Comfort Mon. That's mainly it. He's my Rapid Spinner. And then next we needed a spin blocker, so a Ghost type. So I'm sitting here like, okay, what can I get that's not Dusclops? Because it got sniped, otherwise I would have got Dusclops. Actually, I wanted Petrarunt, but Petrarunt also got sniped. Well, yeah, it just got sniped. So yeah, we ran out of options. So we decided, what? My friend suggested this. Let's try this. It's the one, the only Poltegeist. So I don't know a lot about Poltegeist outside the fact that you have 135 special attack. And if someone tries to Rapid Spin me, I can just switch you in with choice specs, and you just click buttons. That's all I know about Poltegeist. I'm going to find out as we go, guys. Alright, I wish I could have more to say, but I am looking forward to using this thing, though. It's pretty high special attack and speed F, so I think we can do some shenanigans with this thing, especially considering what it has in its move pool. I can't really explain too much about that because these are some very niche moves, so it's not a whole lot of them. But there's some moves I saw where I was sitting here like, okay, I can have fun with this Pokemon. And, well, that's the team, guys, or at least I would say that's the team, because I know you guys are probably thinking, well, it's 11 Pokemon, so what you mean, or at least? So, since this video is coming out after week 1, quote unquote, I decided, you know what, instead of keeping you guys in the dark, let me tell you guys what I did. So I made some last minute changes after my week 1 battle, because I was able to. You remember how I told you guys I didn't have Rabombe, but I wanted Rabombe, so yeah, the guy who had Rabombe dropped Rabombe, so I instantly dropped Whimsicott and Spidops to pick up Rabombe. It literally does what you literally can compress Spidops and Whimsicott into one Pokemon, and you would have Rabombe. Rabombe does not have Prankster, of course, but I mean, okay, we're fast enough that we can kind of get around that. Rabombe gets sticky webs, double screens, a lot of other shenanigans that, it gets shenanigans. So we plan to have fun with Rabombe. I don't want to talk too much about these shenanigans, but just know Rabombe gets shenanigans. Last on the team roster, because I dropped 2 Pokemon, so I picked up 2 Pokemon. Honestly, I felt like the 10 I had were just good enough for what I wanted out of the team. So I'm sitting here looking at the board like, okay, who's someone I've never used but kind of want to have on the team, even if I don't use them, like don't come to a game at all. And I'm sitting here like, I drafted Cinderace all the time. I even drafted Scorbunny before. But some people have this belief that I don't love Reboot. And for everyone out there who thinks I don't love Reboot, well, guess what? Reboot just signed for the Piedmont Triad Kickers. I really wish I could find a GIF for Reboot, but you know, Reboot's not as popular as Cinderace and Score Bunny, so it's not as easy to do that. But we tried. So pardon the still image, but you know, Reboot's on the team now. Can't no one say I never showed Reboot the love, and if you guys ever try to say that, well, you're just being haters, okay? But yeah, we got Reboot, we got the team. This is the whole team. Rabambi and Reboot cannot be used until week 2 onward. So week 1, we're gonna have access to Whimsicott and Spidops, and then after week 1, we won't have access to them. Um, I feel like I did pretty good with the team though. Like I got everything I wanted for the most. Actually, yeah. Only thing I got sniped off of. I wanted Cyclizar over Komala, but outside of that, I literally got every Pokemon I wanted for the most part. And yeah, so yeah, hopefully we have a pretty. Hopefully this is a good draft. Hopefully we have a good season. And hopefully we can enter the MDL with a bang. So that's everything I needed to say, guys. Thank you for everything. Thank you, Ed, for tuning in. Even done so already, please remember to like and subscribe. And until next time, peace out.